For 20 years, I thought I had the perfect life. A beautiful wife, a successful law career, everything I ever wanted. Lisa was my world. Until one day, I saw an email that made my hands shake. It demanded $50,000 with a chilling threat. Pay up, or everyone finds out your secret. My stomach dropped. What secret? Then it hit me, this wasn't just some scam. This was about her. And when I dug deeper, I discovered the woman I'd loved, slept beside, trusted with my life, wasn't a woman at all. This isn't just a story about betrayal. It's about how a single moment can unravel a man's entire existence. There were no kids to soften the blow. Just me, my shattered pride, and the sickening realization that my marriage had been a lie from the start. Lisa had played me for a fool. And when I confronted her, the truth was worse than I ever imagined. But I didn't just scream. I didn't just walk away. What I did next? Well, let's just say the cops didn't expect a man like me to snap like that. They called it premeditated. I called it justice. Before I tell you how it all went down, I need to know. What would you do if you discovered the love of your life wasn't who they claimed to be? Could you walk away? Or would you make them pay? Drop your answer below. Because until it happens to you, you'll never really know. It was the fall of 2001, and I was in my final year at the University of Texas School of Law, drowning in case briefs and caffeine. I spent most nights at the library, buried in torts and contracts, until one evening, she walked in. Lisa was wearing a cream-colored sweater and jeans, her dark hair pulled into a loose ponytail. She sat at the table across from me, flipping through a criminology textbook like she was born to do it. I must have stared too long because she finally glanced up, caught me looking, and smirked. "See something you like?" she asked, her voice smooth as bourbon. I should have been smooth back, but all I managed was asterisk. Yeah, your book. Criminal law, right? Asterisk. She laughed, and I swear, the whole damn library got brighter. "You're Jamal Thompson, aren't you?" she said. "The one who crushed the moot court competition last semester?" I blinked. She knew who I was? Turns out, she was a grad student in psychology but sitting in on some law classes. We talked until the library kicked us out at midnight. By the time we hit the parking lot, I knew two things. 1. I was taking her to dinner the next night. 2. I was going to marry this woman. And I did. In Marshall, Texas, population 23,000, Lisa and I weren't just married, we were local celebrities. The kind of couple people used as shorthand for success. Every Saturday morning, I'd get my haircut at Ray's barbershop on Main Street. Ray had been cutting hair since the Reagan administration, and his shop was where all the town's business got done before noon. The moment I'd walk in, the usual chorus would start. "There goes Jamal, looking all distinguished while his wife stays fine as ever." Old man Henderson, who'd been sitting in the same cracked leather chair since 1998, would shake his head. "Boy, I've been married 3 times and never had a woman that looked like Lisa. What's your secret?" Ray would chuckle as he snapped the cape around my neck. "Ain't no secret, Hank. Jamal here just got blessed while the rest of us got leftovers." Even the young guys working at the feed store knew better than to try their luck. When Lisa would stop by Sullivan's Market in her workout clothes, Tommy Sullivan would call me just to say, "Man, your wife just cleared out my entire produce section," and I swear every tomato in here blushed when she walked by. At the annual Marshall Founders Day picnic, Lisa's peach cobbler always won first prize. Last year, when Mayor Grady handed her the blue ribbon, he leaned into the mic and said, "Lisa Thompson, if you ever get tired of Jamal, the guest room at my place is always open." The whole crowd laughed, including me, because we all knew the truth. Lisa was mine, and everybody respected it. But here's the thing about perfect pictures. Sometimes the frame is hiding something. Lisa never talked about her past. No childhood stories, no old friends popping up. When my mama asked to see baby pictures for our family album, Lisa just smiled and said, asterisk, "Oh, we lost all that in a move." Asterisk. No high school yearbooks. No prom photos. Just one faded Polaroid of her at 22, standing by a lake I didn't recognize, wearing sunglasses too big to see her eyes. I should have asked more questions. But when you're happy, you don't go digging for problems. Then came the email. I was working from home when Lisa's laptop dinged. Normally, I'd ignore it, but the subject line flashed. Final warning, $50,000 or he finds out. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then I clicked. Last chance. Pay or Jamal gets the truth. Asterisk. Lisa said, please, I need more time. Asterisk. The person replied, should have thought about that before you lied for 20 years. My stomach dropped. What truth? I did not confront Lisa. I wanted to discover what the truth was, so I watched and waited. Would you have seen the signs? Or would you have ignored them like I did? I used to brag that I could spot a lie before the words even left someone's mouth. 20 years practicing law will do that to you. But the cruelest joke? The person I knew best in this world had been lying to me every single day of our marriage. The first crack in our perfect life came on an ordinary Tuesday evening. I walked into our bedroom and caught Lisa staring at her phone like it might explode. When she saw me, she locked the screen so fast her fingers blurred. Who's got you so glued to that thing? I asked, leaning down to kiss her. She tilted her face up to meet mine, but her lips felt stiff. Just Vivian from work. You know how she is. I did know Vivian, and I knew damn well Lisa hadn't spoken to her since the office Christmas party. The withdrawals started small, $500 here, $1,000 there. By the third month, she drained nearly $30,000 from our joint savings. Each time I asked, she had a new excuse ready. Emily's divorce lawyer fees. Mom's old house needs a new roof. Caroline's medical bills. Problem was, Emily had been happily married for a decade. Lisa's mother died before we met, and I'd never heard of any Caroline. The night I finally understood something was seriously wrong, I woke to find her side of the bed cold. I found her in the kitchen at 3 a.m., whispering into her phone like a criminal. Not enough time, she was saying. Then she saw me. The fear in her eyes. Christ, I'll never forget it. Wrong number, she said, shoving the phone in her pocket. That's when I knew. My wife wasn't just keeping secrets. She was living a whole other life. I should have confronted her that night in the kitchen. But after 20 years of picking apart lies in courtrooms, I knew better than to act without proof. So when Lisa told me she was visiting an old friend in Dallas for the weekend, I watched. Melissa's having a hard time since the divorce, she said, packing an overnight bag too small for 2 nights. I told her I'd come stay with her. I leaned against the doorframe. Want me to drive you? She didn't look up. No, I'll just take my car. That was the first lie. The next morning, I waited until her Mercedes turned out of our neighborhood before following at a safe distance. She didn't take the highway toward Dallas. She drove south, through back roads, until she reached a quiet suburban street in Austin. The house was small but well-kept. White siding, blue shutters, a neatly trimmed lawn. A man answered the door before Lisa even knocked. Mid-40s, slightly balding, wearing a faded UT Longhorns t-shirt. I parked down the block and watched through binoculars. They didn't hug, didn't smile. Lisa handed him an envelope, thick, the kind that held cash. He opened it, thumbed through the bills, then nodded. Then she stepped inside, and didn't come back out for a while. When she finally emerged, her face was drawn, her shoulders slumped. She didn't look around as she got into her car. Didn't notice me sitting just 3 houses down. I waited until her taillights disappeared before walking up to that blue front door. My knock was answered faster than I expected. The man's face hardened the second he saw me. Who the hell are you? He demanded, blocking the doorway. I didn't blink. Jamal Thompson, Lisa's husband. His grip on the door tightened. You need to leave. I reached into my jacket and pulled out my pistol, the same one I kept in my nightstand. His eyes locked onto it, and for the first time, fear flickered across his face. We can do this on the porch, I said, voice low, or we can do it inside. Your choice. He stepped back. The house smelled like stale takeout and desperation. I kept the gun at my side but didn't holster it. Who is Lisa to you? I asked. He crossed his arms. I don't know what you're talking about. I raised the gun just enough. Try again. Silence. Then, through gritted teeth. An old friend. I stepped closer. Bullshit. Friends don't get paid $30,000 to stay quiet. His jaw worked, but he didn't answer. I aimed at his knee. Last chance. His hands came up. Okay, okay. He exhaled sharply. We knew each other in college. Back when she was still. He cut himself off. Still what? He hesitated. I thumbed back the hammer. Leo, he spat. Her name was Leo back then. The room tilted. He kept talking. Fast now, like the words had been waiting to spill out. She transitioned after graduation. Changed her name, erased her past. I was the only one who knew. But then I got sick, the treatments, the bills, and He swallowed. I asked for help. I forced my voice steady. And when she said no, she didn't. His laugh was bitter. She just started paying. The gun felt suddenly heavy in my hand. I found Lisa in our bedroom, sitting on the edge of the bed, her hands clenched in her lap. The moment I walked in with that shoebox of photos, her whole body went rigid. Jamal, she whispered, her voice breaking before she even finished saying my name. I didn't yell, didn't throw the pictures at her. Just placed them gently on the dresser, one by one, watching her face crumple with each new image of a past she'd buried. The first tear fell when I set down the graduation photo. Leo Marshall, 1999, staring back at us with Lisa's eyes but a stranger's face. I'm sorry, she choked out, her hands trembling as she reached for me. Oh God, Jamal. I'm so sorry. I stepped back. The hurt that flashed across her face almost made me relent. Almost. Were you ever going to tell me? She broke then, sobs racking her body so hard she could barely speak. I wanted to, so many times. But I was scared. Every anniversary, every birthday, I'd almost say it, and then, her breath hitched, and then I'd see how much you loved me, and I couldn't. The raw terror in her voice, the genuine remorse, should have softened me. Instead, it made the betrayal cut deeper. You let me love a ghost, I said quietly. Lisa collapsed to her knees, her tears soaking into the carpet. I'm real. The last 20 years were real. Please. I walked out mid-sentence, her weeping following me down the hall. The gun safe clicked open at 3 a.m. Through our bedroom door, I could still hear her crying. Funny. After everything, that's what finally made me decide. Not anger, not hate, just the quiet understanding that neither of us could live with the truth. For 3 days, I played the forgiving husband, brought her coffee in bed, kissed her forehead before work, listened to her tentative apologies with a carefully constructed mask of understanding. You're still you, I told her that final night, stroking her hair as she cried against my chest. The way her body relaxed against mine turned my stomach. She actually believed me. When she fell into an exhausted sleep, I slipped out to the study. The bourbon bottle glinted in the moonlight like an old friend. I drank just enough to steady my hands, not enough to blur my purpose. The house was so quiet I could hear our wedding clock ticking in the hall. Tick, tock, like a countdown. The alcohol burned but didn't numb. Every swallow brought fresh images. Mark's smirk at the courthouse when rumors spread. You mean Jamal's been getting fucked this whole time? My father's disgusted glare at family dinners, whispering, I knew that woman was unnatural. The clients who'd shake some other lawyer's hand instead of mine. I poured another finger of bourbon. The gun safe seemed to pulse in my peripheral vision. Worst of all, the doubt creeping in my own mind. What does that make me? The question slithered through the alcohol haze, poisonous and inescapable. The bedroom door creaked like it always did. Lisa didn't stir, just lay curled on her side, one hand under her cheek like a child. Moonlight caught the tear tracks still glistening on her face. I remember thinking how small she looked, how fragile. The first shot hit just below her left ear. Her eyes flew open, not with pain but shocked betrayal. The second tore through that pretty sundress she'd worn to dinner, right where her heart should be. Blood bloomed across the sheets like roses. For one hysterical moment I considered firing a third. But the clock kept ticking. Tick, Talk. And suddenly I was sober. The gunshots still echoed in my ears when I realized. Someone must have heard. In a neighborhood like ours, where retirees watered their lawns at dawn and stay-at-home moms counted passing cars, 2 gunshots at 3 a.m. might as well have been a bomb going off. I didn't hurry. Just set the smoking .45 on the coffee table and walked to the front porch. The night air smelled like cut grass and impending rain. Somewhere down the block, a dog barked hysterically. Lights flicked on at the Henderson place across the street. Old Marvin's silhouette appeared behind his curtains, phone already glowing against his ear. I could practically hear his wheezy voice. Police! Shots fired at the Thompson residence. I sat on the porch steps and waited. The blood on my hands looked black in the yellow porch light. Sirens wailed in the distance. Closer, closer. I lit a cigarette, my first in 15 years, and inhaled deeply as the first cruiser skidded to a stop in front of our perfect suburban home. The young cop's flashlight beam shook as it found me. Sir, are you? I shot my wife, I said, blowing smoke into the flashing red and blue lights. Twice. She's upstairs. The way his partner's hand flew to her sidearm would have made me laugh if everything wasn't so goddamn tragic. The interrogation room smelled like stale coffee and sweat. The metal chair dug into my back, but I didn't shift. Didn't give them the satisfaction. Across the table, Detective Ruiz studied me like I was a puzzle he couldn't quite solve. You want to tell us what happened, Jamal? I almost laughed. Tell them? I'd been rehearsing this moment in my head since I pulled the trigger. So I told them everything. The blackmail. The photos. The way Lisa's hands had trembled when she finally admitted the truth. It wasn't just the lie, I said, my voice steady. It was the humiliation. 20 years, Ruiz. 20 years of being laughed at behind my back. Everyone knew. Everyone. The detective leaned forward. Who knew? I met his gaze. That's the thing, I don't know. But someone did. Someone always does. Ruiz exchanged a glance with his partner. I recognized that look. They'd expected rage, hysteria. Not this cold, calculated clarity. You planned this, Ruiz said slowly. I smiled. I'm a defense attorney. I know exactly how this ends. They left me alone for hours after that. Good. Let them stew. Let them wonder how a man could sit in a cell, covered in his wife's blood, and not shed a single tear. But here's the truth they'll never understand. I did love her. That's why I pulled the trigger. The courtroom smelled like wood polish and cheap perfume. I sat perfectly still in my tailored suit, watching the jury avoid my eyes. The prosecutor said, this wasn't crime of passion. It was an execution. He waited. He planned. He shot her twice in cold blood. My lawyer countered with photos of the blackmail letters, my drained bank accounts. Wouldn't any man snap after such betrayal? But the star witness wasn't the detective or the forensics team. It was her mother. The old woman clutched the stand like it was the only thing holding her up. My child was scared. Scared of people like you. She pointed at me, her voice cracking. Was her life worth your pride? The gallery erupted. The judge slammed his gavel. And for the first time since that night, I felt something twist in my chest. Guilty. The word echoed, but I'd known it was coming. The sentence, life without parole, was just a formality. As they led me out, a reporter shouted, "Do you regret it?" I didn't answer. But here's the truth. I'd do it again. Was this revenge or justice? Like if you think he went too far. Comment if you understand his rage. And don't forget to subscribe for more real crime stories that make you question right and wrong.